Hey everyone, welcome to the Fan Club YouTube channel. I'm Will.
I'm Lawson.
And I'm Austin.
Join us every Monday for interviews with top athletes, creators, and entertainers from all around the world.
So please make sure to like, comment, subscribe.
And thank you for joining our fan club community. Now please enjoy this episode.
Welcome back everybody to the Fan Club pod. We got a very exciting episode with the fellas here today because we just ran a damn marathon. How we doing, boys?
Not too bad. It's the best day so far for muscle-wise and tiredness, but I can definitely still feel it.
I'm sitting here with Frizz, Lazi, Yelly, and special guest, a.k.a. Speed Demon, Mr. David Kaplan is joining the show today on his day off.
Honored to be here.
I feel like I'm sitting beside two Olympic medalists right now. These guys got medals around their necks. I'm in between them both. They're both just speedsters, but especially Dave. Dave was, I don't know how you're actually even walking today because I'm sore, and I didn't run that race. I ran that race an hour slower than you. So how are your legs today, Dave?
Honestly, I'm not feeling that bad. My left hip, which was bothering me before the race, is the only thing that's really bothering me now. Other than that, feels like I did a really, really, really heavy leg lift, and I will not be using the stairs for a long time.
Yeah, I felt the same way. I think I said that to Cuddy earlier. It's like that we just had a huge squat day yesterday. Yeah. My quads are hurting bad right now.
Going up and down inclines, just not a fan right now.
Oh, I couldn't even get out of the car.
Yeah.
The day of the race was the worst, and walking from outside Applebee's to the car was so hard to do, and even walking back from the shuttle after, that stretch was just painful. We had to go up the stairs to the bus, and yeah, I'm surprised that a couple days later it's a lot better, but I was a little bit worried that I was going to take a week to recover after that.
It's like one of those things where it's like the second you stop moving for just, even if it's a minute, you lock right back up, and it takes 10 minutes to warm up again and get those muscles loose. And then, yeah, the car ride home, even yesterday, once I got out of the car, I was like, wow, now I'm really starting to feel it. But
yeah, it was quite tough. But let's chat a little bit of context. We just finished our first marathon. If you didn't know, we've been training together for the last 18 or so weeks. Race day was 3 days ago while recording here today, and we got it done. Everybody finished. It was quite the journey of training together from our first run and our first half marathon together, which we thought was impossible, and to see everyone cross the finish line with one minor injury, which is just Yelly's blood blister.
Yeah.
That's pretty impressive, guys. We actually got it done.
Yep. We went 6 for 6 on crossing the finish line, so can't really ask much more than that.
No, I can't believe it. And the fact that we got to run our first marathon, one, all together, and two, up in Duluth, Minnesota, which is a special place to us since we spent a lot of time there during school. It was just an incredible weekend.
Yeah, it was a good time. And even got to stay at our old college house.
Yeah. So, Dave, I want to start with you. How did this all start? Why the heck did we even run a marathon? Because I believe you were the ringleader in this idea.
Yeah. I guess, for me, it was something that's always been on my bucket list as, something that I've wanted to do. And it's one of those things that does not really work well with hockey training. So I knew it was going to be something that had to be done once we were finished playing hockey. And I wanted to do it relatively quick while I was still in pretty decent shape coming out of college. So I threw out the idea to everyone. I was just like, Grandma's Marathon in Duluth is supposed to be the best weekend of the year in Duluth. So it would be kind of fun if we all, ran it together, and we got, 6 of the 10 guys to bite and go through the journey, and definitely would not have wanted to do it alone. So it was nice having the whole group to kind of just they know what you're going through in terms of training, and sometimes you just aren't feeling up to doing certain things. So everyone kind of understood.
Yeah, 100%. And we signed up in October of 2022. Training programs didn't really start until February-ish, which I think was the 18 weeks out. And so, Yelly, what did you do did you run prior to marathon training? Did you pre-train for training, or did you just kind of hop in and be like, hey, you're already a gifted runner to begin with, so did you just jump in and go for it, or what was your process like?
Yeah, I was pretty late to the training process. I think I did like 2 miles max prior to that 13.1 that we did as a group. I don't know. We talked about it earlier today. I forgot exactly the date when we did it, but that was like the first like legit training day, and I felt awful. So that kind of kicked me in gear to kind of pick up the slack a bit. But just to rewind a bit, I actually signed up for Grandma's Marathon 2 years ago, or I guess it was during the COVID summer, and my dad and we signed up for it. But at that point, it was just like a lottery polling because of COVID, I'm imagining was the reasoning for that, and we didn't get drawn. So I could have ran this thing already prior to us doing it as a group. But as Dave said, I think it was better as a group because I couldn't imagine doing that by myself because I know my dad would not have ran by me that whole time, so happy that we got to do it together.
Yeah, it was definitely brutal running by yourself during training even. Like, when we got together to do those runs, it was a lot more fun. And the runs before work were always enjoyable when it started to get warm out too. But so starting in Minnesota, marathon training. Dave, you spent a lot of time on the treadmill, right?
Yeah, so like Will said, like we had to start training at February. I think we did 18 weeks, 16 weeks, somewhere in that range. And obviously February in Minnesota, it's not the nicest weather. So spent a lot of time early on the treadmill. And then I absolutely hated it, and I did not enjoy the process at all. So I made a rule with myself. I said, if it's above 30 degrees, I'm running outside. So pretty quickly, towards like middle end of February, I started just putting on the long johns, getting outside, and that's when things got a lot more fun and really started to enjoy the process of training, which is like one thing, like it consumes so much of your time that if you don't enjoy that process, you're not going to enjoy the marathon at all.
100%.
I remember, do you remember our first training run, or one of the first ones, when I think we went like 4 or 5 miles? I was with Dave, and I was in so much pain after. Like, think about how short that is now. But 4 mile run almost felt like a 15-mile run, which was crazy how like you actually improve a lot. I was surprised, at least from where we started out. I know Dave was still running it pretty fast at that point, but like for me at least, I was done right away off the bat. It was a long journey to even get to 10.
Yeah, I have a very similar story to that, just because, well, me and Lozzie are Canadian, so we do things in kilometers, so it's a lot smaller than a mile. So when I actually went outside and said I'm going to do 3 miles for the first time, and I just kept running, and I look at my phone that's tracking, and I'm still not at a mile yet, and I'm like, what is going on? This is taking forever. So it took me a long time to actually like comprehend how far a mile is outside rather than doing it on a treadmill where you can just see it going up.
And you just get used to as well, like not being bored from that. Before 2 miles, like thinking of running for 20 minutes would have made me so bored. It's like, come on, like when's that going to end? And then thinking 4 would be 40 minutes. You also get used to just keeping your mind occupied in a way, or trying, like 40 minutes now isn't as bad. And it's almost, you train your brain a little bit to get used to the longer distance and thinking about things. I don't know. It just,
that 40 minutes, actually, I remember one specific time. I didn't run in the morning. I got home after work in like February or early March, and it was dark by like 6 o'clock, and it said I should run 4 miles on my program. I was like, all right, here we go. We get all strapped up. It was cold out. It's dark by 6 something, and running 4 miles in the dark like, this is horrible.
Yeah.
Like, I do not want to keep doing this. This is terrible. And you're by yourself trying to pump yourself up at the end of the day. And it was just like, how am I supposed to run 22 more miles in June?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna say, like, I think a lot of people have like have this idea that like you have to have ran a lot before you're ever gonna want to do a marathon or all that stuff. And I think you can definitely go from no running experience to running a marathon in, you know, those 18 weeks, 16 weeks, or however long a plan is. And I think there's a lot of, you know, that first month is absolutely terrible because your body's really trying to adjust to something new. But once you kind of break through that barrier, like, you know, going back to Lawson's story, like we did, you know, those 4 or 5 mile runs that whole first month, and it was awful. But then all of a sudden you're now doing 10 miles and you're like, that's a breeze. And I couldn't even do 4 miles, you know, 4 weeks ago.
That's funny you say that, because every single week, I track everything on my watch when I was running. Every single Saturday, say, you've accomplished a new record, farthest distance. And it was like 5 miles, then 6, then 7, and so on. So after running maybe 3 miles, the longest ever in my first 25 years of living, and then all of a sudden you just do that over an 18-week span, it's very, very doable.
And it's like such a great feeling of like accomplishment too. And you really can't get that, you know, I guess for us coming from like a sports hockey background, like you really don't get that feeling that much anymore. And that's what really got me kind of like hooked on running. It's like that feeling of, you know, completing your long run and you're like, wow, like I haven't felt like that in forever.
Right, and especially doing something like an individual sport and by yourself, you don't get that accomplishment feeling. Maybe if you finished a hard practice with a full team of 20 other people, and then you go out for a 10-mile run, and you're like, holy smokes, I actually just did that by myself. No one's watching me, but I have the proof right here.
Yeah.
And it's just like, wow, I never thought I could do that.
No.
Yeah, it's definitely a good thing for us to like work towards coming off of college graduation, hockey careers ending. It was cool to kind of like work together, but you're obviously running it as an individual. So it's just something that kind of worked at both ends of like staying in shape, working towards something, but also like a journey that we were able to do together.
Yeah, I found it was nice that Lawson was able to find ways to create content around it too, like whether that be us taking getting a distraction during the run by filming a music video or something, or even just answering questions while training. It really kind of helped kind of bring us together, but also connect everyone else to what we've been up to recently as well.
It took us a while to actually finally do group runs. Like Will probably went on tons of solo runs until we decided to start documenting it. And I think it was kind of because we didn't want to do it in spurts. I bet through the winter we could have done 1 or 2 videos, but nobody was really consistent until the snow started to melt. And I think that's why then we started doing it as a group. Well, because we started doing it as a group, now we can film content around it. And then since we were filming content, it felt like we actually had to keep documenting like once a week or once every 2 weeks because people were actually now following along. We introduced the topic to our audience like, hey, running a marathon. They got a little bit interested in it. So that also motivated us a lot to just continue to run together, continue just to go on those, like, wake up early to do something, because we're also kind of like working at the same time, which I personally liked that a lot. I think it felt like a good time spent, I would say.
And I think that, I know you mentioned, like, I maybe started running a little earlier than some. I mean, I think Dave started right away and stuck to it too. I knew right when I signed up for that, I was like, okay, if I do not follow a plan, there's no way that I'm finishing it. Just knowing myself and knowing that I've never been a great runner in my life, and if I didn't stick to something and hit 95% of those workouts, there's no way I would have crossed that line on Saturday.
Yeah, I think the content really kept us all in line. I know Lawson just mentioned it, but like And that made it like really enjoyable for me. Like I did a handful of videos just like outside of our group runs, and it just like brought more enjoyment. And just on the road, especially, like we did a bunch of like training videos in Florida and just like other states that we were in, like up at my cabin. So it's cool to add that like different area maps. We always would say like we unlocked a new like map. So
it's a great way to explore new places too.
Yeah.
Going out for a run.
What location run do you think was your favorite? What map?
I think we're all going to say the same thing. It was definitely Yelly's cabin.
That was up there, but I think I loved the when I went. This was by myself, but when I ran in Florida, when I went with my family on a vacation, I found a cool map, and it was like the most peaceful. It was the first time I hit 12 miles, and it was like the most peaceful run ever. Like,
Was it as
this
hot
is kind of cool?
as when we
No,
went?
it was cloudy
that's
too,
nice.
so that's why I probably loved it.
okay. I
But
think my
and
favorite-
actually, towards the end, right when I needed a boost, there was a little bit of a sprinkle. So it was just
Oh,
like,
nice.
this is amazing.
Yeah.
I could do this forever.
I really liked the at Dave's place in Fort Myers, right?
Yeah,
That was a
that-
good map.
That was just
That's a
really
good
hot.
Not much traffic. It did get hot, but it was just really motivating because there's super nice houses around. Weather was beautiful, palm trees. I love Florida, so I'm gonna have to go with what's the location again?
Estero.
The Estero map. That's
a
my
good
number
map.
one.
Estero
That's
map.
a good map.
Good track, racetrack.
I remember the one time, or this is something I also learned too, that we got really good at because we were still traveling and we were pretty busy during this whole thing. And before this program and gearing up for the race, I never would have worked out on the road or
No.
anything.
Yeah.
And I think the first time I did it was in Carolina. And, you know, we went out the night before and was pretty tired. And I was just like, I'm going to try to do this and see if I can start a habit. And I think you guys all left that public gym, which I don't blame you because I didn't like that gym at all. It was kind of weird. But I just ran for 30 minutes on the treadmill. I was like, okay, this could be worse.
Yeah.
Like, but if you get this part done, then like maybe next time, like when we went to New York, I think I went on a run. Or then when we went to Florida, we all ran together, or the cabin. But 2 months before that, there's no way in heck we would have got up and done anything like that.
Did you guys have any doubts throughout the training process? Because there was one moment where I was running and I was running with the dog, and the dog cut me off, so I kind of like stumbled off the path and I rolled my ankle so bad, and I thought I broke it. And there was a moment there because it was like probably a month and a half out, and I was like, wow, this sucks. Like I was looking
remember you
forward
had
to it.
your
I was
boot.
just like getting that like momentum training, and then I freaking rolled my ankle, like one of the worst I've ever rolled it to. But that was the one moment where I was like, okay, well, here goes this. I'm gonna be filming the whole thing for you guys.
Yeah, I was gonna say I did doubt you then. Because you like showed your boot, and I was actually like, "There's no way. How are you gonna recover from this and run a marathon?" So I had a doubt in you at one point, and I also had a doubt in Dave, and Dave even had a doubt in himself.
Big time.
Dave had a doubt in his-
He was the closest cut.
Yeah.
Yeah. I literally up until like Monday, like a week ago from today, the Monday before the race, I was not going to run. I got through my 18-mile run, and I was super sore, but I was trying to stay on my plan, and I think I just pushed a little too hard and did something to my hip, groin. I don't even know what it was. About 3 weeks before the race, and I wasn't able to like run. I wasn't able to walk, so like I wasn't really able to run at all right before, and I took 2 weeks off, and then that Monday I did 10 miles just to see how it would feel because it felt better after we got back from Fort Lauderdale.
I was gonna say you got a little Fort Lauderdale air.
The elbow room really helped me out. Something in the water down there. And I just went for it, and I was like, you know what, it's probably sitting right around 80%. Like there's still some pain, but I made it through 16 weeks of training. Like I don't want to just cut my losses, so took a little ibuprofen at the starting line and just kept on kicking.
Yeah, I'd say my biggest doubt was when I did the 20-mile run by myself, and I got to like 15 or 16 or something like that, and I just felt like, how am I supposed to go 10 more miles in a month? Like, this is insane. I don't think I ate enough or whatever probably for that run, and also I was by myself, so that made it terrible. But I was like, I actually don't know if I'm going to finish. That was the biggest doubt during the whole process.
Yeah, my 20-miler too. It was like a Saturday, super humid here in Minneapolis, and it was kind of around that time. I don't know if you guys remember, must have been 2-3 weeks ago when it was like super smoky in Minneapolis from the forest fires, and so I decided if there was going to be a weekend to do this 20-miler, it had to be this specific day. So I ran it, super humid, smoky, and I did this loop where it didn't even add up to 20 miles. So like I had to add on the spot. So I was making my map as I was running, and I was just like angry at myself for doing this by myself. Didn't have any water, and I finished at my girlfriend's school. And that was the mistake, because I finished and like I was probably heat stroke borderline. And so I run to this like one tree right next to the parking lot, and I'm laying in the grass like shirtless, just like probably looking like crap. And I see in the distance these people walk out of the building, of their school building. And I didn't think anything of it. I look up and I notice they're walking towards me. I'm like, oh gosh, who could this be? And it was like 6 of her friends that I've met before, and I'm laying in the grass. Like, my face was super red. I'm sweaty, dehydrated. And I was just like, you guys are looking at me at my lowest low probably.
Oh, yeah.
And that was it.
Yeah, I honestly just didn't know how I was going to feel around like mile like 16 up, just because like my longest run was with you guys at 10. So I was just like, I have to double this. And then
your longest run was 10?
Yeah, I never went past 10. I just didn't want to put in the time. That was my thing. I just hated how long it actually took to train.
That's crazy. Wow. I didn't touch know that.
On that because I thought I did a great job training all this, like, whatever, 8 minutes behind my goal, and then Frizz runs 10 miles throughout the whole thing and finishes like 15 minutes before me in the marathon.
Yeah, I don't know.
Some people just have it.
And even Taver too.
Tavers was a very well. I'm sure we'll touch on his full travel and all he did.
Yeah.
But we'll just say that is a absolute accomplishment on his part. What he did,
big time.
Yeah, what he did was pretty wild. I would say for me too is like I got sick the week before.
Even the night before.
And, but it did start on the Monday, so I was like. Had a cough, had a stuffed nose, was hoping that I didn't get a fever, because that was probably the only way I would actually not do it, because if I get a fever, then you're sweating from just lying in bed, and that would probably be dangerous. So that was my biggest worry. Luckily, it didn't get to that point, but it did get worse throughout the week, and then Friday night was one of the worst days. Had a headache all day. Didn't get to the fever level, but luckily, it passed by, but I was kind of scared. I was a little bit nervous. I was like, all right, I might not actually be running this thing tomorrow, which would have been brutal.
Yeah, that would have been horrible. Let's get into our weekend. Because Friday we drove up to Superior, Wisconsin, one of our favorite cities on earth, to do a little filming with our alma mater. And that was a pretty cool experience being able to. We rollerbladed around campus, showed off all the buildings, and helped them out. Had some fun with it, and maybe wasn't the most ideal thing to be in rollerblades all day the day before a race, but it worked out, and it was a good time being there and kind of giving back.
Yeah, that's for some people. For some people who don't know, that's where the hockey guys originated from. Was Superior, Wisconsin, at Westman Arena. So they thought it was a good idea to kind of bring us back and do like a little promo shoot, kind of touring the school, going through all the buildings. We all had these lines we had to touch on, and some were a lot harder to do than others, but we were working.
And I'm sure you hit all your lines on the first try.
Like usual.
Yeah, how funny is that, though? Just a year after doing a campus tour at your school on rollerblades for it. I think that's just when you like look at that, it's just a funny thing to kind of reflect on after graduating a year after. I loved it. To me, it was like it was really fun though, that we got to go back into the arena too and with all the guys. So not only like are we back in our hometown, but like it's kind of a reunion too. Took some hilarious photos on the ice. You guys recreating a freshman photo that you got. Do you remember who you like? What was the idea behind that even?
I don't know. We just had this really interesting like freshman year team picture day. I think the season was almost over.
Yeah, it was towards the end of the year.
And we just started taking these ridiculous photos on the ice because we had nothing else to do that day. And came up with the bobsled. That one where we're like, our heads are all over the place going down. I don't even know what you would call it. Yeah, call it the blooming onion. That's a good one. And then, we just had to recreate it because why not?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we did some, we recreated some old Westman Arena TikTok videos too. One that, I don't know, I forgot the numbers on it, but it was one of our bigger ones.
Oh yeah, the Johnny, the telephone video.
Oh,
yeah, I had my phone side by side with the thing that we did like 2 years ago or a year ago, and the one and the camera, and it was like pretty much matching up perfectly.
Wow.
It was like dead the same thing.
Was it easier for you to film it as a director?
Oh yeah. Well, last time we filmed that, I remember filming that video a year ago, and we had only it was the first time we did it, first of all. Plus, it was after practice, and there's these kids coming on the ice. So I know that you were getting a little bit embarrassed of these high school kids that were like stepping on the ice, and you had a lot of trouble remembering that line. And we've done that video now like 5 times over. But the pressure that we had the first time we did it versus this time were a ton different.
How crazy is that I was nervous because there was high schoolers watching. Now, like, just like thinking about that a year later, it's like that made me nervous. And now we've done like all these other like crazy things, and like going on a Zamboni in the middle of a NHL playoff game. It's just like, when you think about it, put that in perspective, it was like I was nervous because there was a high school team hopping on the ice watching me say like a TikTok line a year ago.
Yeah, you're too cool for school. That's why. Didn't want to be caught making a TikTok back then.
Exactly. And anything that those kids would have said to you would have been like nothing anyway. It would not have mattered whatsoever. We all definitely were embarrassed after practice once in a while.
Yeah.
But then Friday night, we fueled up. Everyone had their own little meal. And then we went to the bar.
Yeah.
We went to the bar less than 12 hours before the race started.
Well, I mean, halfway through my training, I did an official half marathon because I wanted to get a race day in. And the night before, I had a beer because I was like, okay, like carbs, calories, it's all good. So then, for a full marathon, I was like, well, you got to have 2.
Double it.
So I doubled it, but I cued everyone in on my theory, and I think most of us kind of went along with that, other than Taver.
Yeah, I had 2 beers. I think everyone had 2 beers.
I had popcorn and soda water.
Not frizz. And then Taver had 2 beers, but
They were
very 32-ounce beers.
They were very, very large beers.
So whatever that math is.
And I just remember sitting at that table. We left at like 9:30, which was still like I think a little too late.
With a 4:30 a.m. wake up.
Yeah. So, and Taver stayed, and I remember waking up in the morning at 4:30, looking at my phone and seeing snap stories of him still at the bar, and the timestamp on it was, I think, like pretty close to midnight. And I was like, geez, like if he crosses his finish line, like after doing that the night before,
and he had a red eye,
in, and he only got a month of training in. I was like, if he crosses his finish line, like this is the greatest athletic performance I've ever seen with my own 2 eyes. Like, I'm dead serious.
Yeah, so everyone's praising Kappy for doing what he did in 3:23, but actually Taver getting 4:35 with the conditions he was under was 10 times more impressive than whatever Dave
100%.
did.
He did the impossible.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I could never.
He's
would never.
He's a beast.
Yeah, I drove Taver home that night, and well, these guys all left like Dave said, they left probably an hour earlier. I don't think we left at midnight, but it's kind of funny because like when you guys left, the whole I don't know who started it. Someone started it, but the whole bar started chanting when you guys left, and we're just like, go get him tomorrow, boys, like cheering you guys on as you're walking out. And then they did the same thing for me and Taver, and you should have seen Taver going out. He was just like loving it,
firing up the crowd,
hands over his head, just like doing one of these. And then then we got back at 12:30 ish, and I didn't know that Lawson was sick, so I probably should have slept in with Dave, but I hopped into Lawson's bed, and we shared it until Jordo and Pacer, the two guys who ultimately weren't running.
The wrecking balls.
They came in like at probably 1, right when finally about to fall asleep, and these guys like were just so loud because they didn't have to get up. They weren't running. They didn't like care. So I had to sleep on the couch because they were so loud. I couldn't fall asleep, and it was 1 a.m.
Yeah, I'm sick. I'm coughing. Have a hard time falling asleep. Like Yelly, we're sharing a bed. That wasn't the issue. It was just that coughing so much, and then finally I get to sleep and felt like a 20-minute sleep. And all of a sudden I'm up again, middle of the night. I'm like, Yelly's not beside me, and all I hear is Jordan and Johnny giggling around, and it's like, oh man. And I know I had to get up at 4:30. Just the absolute worst night of sleep I probably could have got.
How did you guys feel? How did you guys feel at 4:30? Because when my alarm went off, I was like, how am I supposed to get dressed and go run right now?
I was pretty excited. I think I just got to the point where I didn't get into a good sleep, so you don't wake up tired. It was kind of like you took an hour nap, and I woke up and I was feeling pretty I think I was just really excited to run a marathon, and that's what got me out of bed. And then Yelly was pretty excited as always in the morning.
It took me a bit to get my engine awake and excited.
It's also nice too because like being in Superior in the summer, the sun comes up pretty early. So like we're sitting on the bus, it's 5:30, and it feels like the sun's out.
That was huge.
It's big.
With my sleep, I thought like, because I was in a separate room other than these guys, and when I woke up, I had no idea what time it was, but I saw and heard like shuffling in the hallway, and I looked at my phone. But before I looked, I thought there's two situations. Pacer and Marty are causing a ruckus at 2 a.m, or it's like 4:45ish and we're getting ready to go. And I pulled it up, and it was 4:45, and I was so happy that I did not get woken up by those guys coming back.
Yeah, that would have been tough. That probably would have. You're not the best sleeper, so that would have hurt you a little bit. But then we got on the bus.
Yep.
We got on the bus on time. Somehow got on the coach bus. That was a nice bounce.
Yep. Oh, yeah, that was nice pulling up in front of our school, like literally 5 minutes away. Didn't have to go too far to get on the shuttle.
Yeah, we were literally the cutoff. Everyone was getting in school buses, and then the final school bus, we were the first people that got cut off. So we're like, oh, whatever. And then the next bus that comes around is a coach bus. So we got a really good bounce to start off the morning, got nice seats and stuff.
The front.
You were sleeping on the way up.
Yeah,
you just took a nap.
Pre-game nap.
A pre-game nap on the way to the marathon.
How daunting was that bus ride too?
That bus was scary.
Yeah. For those of you who don't know, Grandma's Marathon is a straight shot. It's not a loop. So you jump on a shuttle, and they take you 26 miles up the North Shore. So it's like a 35-minute bus ride.
It ended up taking about 45 because we can't go on the
Yeah.
track, obviously.
Yeah.
So we were looping around.
You're just sitting on this bus for what feels like forever, and then it finally pops in your head. You're like, I have to run all the way back. And I was just in a car for 40 minutes to get there.
What do you guys think of the starting line? 'Cause we were there about an hour before the gun start went off, and there was so many people, obviously.
You see so many different people. You're like, oh, that person's a runner. That person doesn't look like a runner at all.
This person's wearing a Forrest Gump costume. That one looks like Yoshi.
We developed the motto, if they can do it, we can do it.
Yeah, I thought it was funny when we tried to go to the bathroom like last minute, but there was like a sea of people
Oh,
in
yeah.
line, and then all of a sudden this train comes roaring down the
Buzzing.
tracks, and then they dropped off a few hundred people. It's like, what the heck? They used everything to get people out to the starting line.
There was 9,000 people in this little area.
Yeah.
Ready to start a 26-mile trek at 7:40 in the morning.
Yeah.
Just packed in the corral, and then we had a pretty powerful national anthem.
Yeah,
Got
it
us
was
going
sick.
a little bit. Kind of felt like a hockey game.
And
we
it
were about
had
to go play.
and then they had a fighter jet fly over
That was
with the
sweet.
Top Gun music blaring in the
That
background.
gave me the goosies.
It
Yeah.
was awesome.
They did a really good job of making that part feel just like an actual event.
Yeah.
Like music playing, tons of people. I think that was really helpful to kind of get you fired up right in the morning to run a race. Because, again, like you said, it almost felt like you're before a pre-hockey game type thing. And we were just like, I think we have some funny videos of you guys. Like Frizz was like fake boxing to the Rocky music because we were all wearing gray sweatshirts on, and we're just warming up, getting ready to go, kind of just eyeing everybody down. And
I checked the Insta story after the race, and someone took a selfie like of us in the background at the start, just hanging out there, and we didn't end up seeing them, but I thought that was funny just to look at after.
One thing that we did not do very well was warm up.
Oh, you guys did
Yeah, I
it.
was
We
gonna-
did not.
I was gonna say, like, we did the world's greatest stretch for maybe 10 seconds on each side, and then that was our warm up. And I do remember this vividly. Lawson, he was like kind of behind us, and he's just like, man, I think I'm eating too much. I think like I can't stop eating. Look back, and he has like his fifth like energy bar, and he's shoving into his mouth, and I was just like, kind of the same thing. Like I feel like I was just like nervous energy and like didn't know what to do, so I was just eating all my snacks that I had like set for the race.
Yeah, it was like prime breakfast time. Just
Yeah.
ready- just wanted to
Yeah.
eat.
and we didn't know what was enough and what wasn't
Yeah.
enough, and that's the thing, because I wasn't full, but I also wanted to make sure I had as much stored up, kind of like a bear, like hibernating for winter, in case you get to the end and you need some extra energy. It's like, might as well just eat it and get it in me now instead of throwing it away.
Yeah.
So I think Yelly too was, you went through all your snacks before the race started, and that made me then the team med kit, because I had actually a phone charger packed. I had 2 pockets full of like
Which is crazy.
the honey waffle things, and then I had gummies and the building blocks, as Yelly called them. Had the caffeine gel that Dave gave me, and by the time I ended, I definitely had nothing left in my pockets.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
your system.
Because me and Lawson broke off before you guys. We like, I think it was before we all kind of congregated at our little start pace. Me and Lawson, we were looking for I can't think of the guy's first name, but
Adam Wood.
yeah, we were looking for Adam Wood just because there was a guy from BYU that was trying to qualify for the U.S. Olympic team, marathon team, and so we knew that he was there because we saw on his like TikTok and his just like social media platforms. So we went up to the start line because we figured like, oh, he'll be warming up like at the front, and we're up there, and we see him go by. And then he like continued like warming up down the rest of the way, and then we look at each other, and then Lawson's like, "Should we do a warm up jog too?" And so we did like maybe a 10-second warm up jog, and then the world's greatest stretch, and then that was it.
That's awesome.
We did. We looked like a bunch of dads because we just had all great
Yeah.
crew necks. We actually looked like old men
It was hilarious.
trying to run a race.
Yeah, so a cool tradition. I didn't know if this is every marathon or what, Dave.
I think-
But Dave brought up the day before that you obviously it's a little chilly when you get out there, and you're supposed to bring layers and then just throw them in these bins or leave them on the ground, and they donate all the leftover clothing. So we went out and bought some matching crew necks for
Yeah.
the day before. We all
A
showed
Walmart
up
special.
looking like Rocky Balboa, hanging out, and then we donated to them. But I think everyone definitely thought that we were trying to go for like a costume or
Yeah,
something.
no.
Yeah. No, we weren't.
It's just whatever
Um,
Walmart had.
Yeah, they're comfy.
Yeah, they were perfect. It worked well.
I think one of the highlights, and right like when the gun shot off and we started kind of picking up, kind of like a train, because everyone starts walking, and then everyone starts walking 3 miles an hour, and then all of a sudden a little jog goes, and you're just like chug.
It's like you're
chug,
walking on a
chug.
treadmill. It
Yeah.
just gets
Yeah,
faster
and then
and
you, all of a
faster.
sudden, by the time you get under, you're in a full, not a full stride because we were at the 420 group, but we were off, and that was really cool. It felt real, a lot of energy. Felt like we weren't stopping. We could do the whole thing at that pace.
Dave, what was the energy like and the vibe like were you at the 8-minute mile per group? Because at the 4:20 finish pace, it was pretty relaxed.
Yeah.
There's a lot of casual runners like us. We're just kind of hanging out, but I can imagine with you under the 3:30-ish group.
Yeah, I started right with the 3:30 pacer, and 3:30 is the qualifying time for like women our age for Boston. So around me, there was a lot of like serious women runners.
Oh, that's why you went there.
trying to get their Boston qualifiers. There was also some more casual runners too, trying to push their pace a little bit. But what I've noticed about like just the running community in general is like everyone is super friendly and super supportive, because at the end of the day, right, like you finishing before that person next to you doesn't matter. So no one's trying to beat each other. Everyone's racing against the same clock, and they just want to do better for themselves and want people around them to do better. You could really feed off that energy a lot. I compare it a lot to like the casual golfer. Like you're not playing against the person in your group necessarily. You're just both out there trying to have a good time. And
exactly. Because at the end of the day, we all got the same red and orange
exactly
medals.
Exactly. And but yeah, I mean, that was I kind of stayed with that group for the first little bit. I had headphones in, so I wasn't really talking too much.
Go over your first half. Talk about your first half marathon, the first half of that race. How did it go for you up there?
So the first half was awesome. I stayed probably for the first like 4 or 5 miles, right with that same pack, just because like with my hip, didn't really know how it was going to hold up. And one of the things I always told myself, like when I was doing the long runs, was just like what feels good now is not going to feel good at mile 15 or mile 17 or whatever. So I really was trying to save some energy and just kind of pick it up easily, as time went on. After mile 5, I've had like a good amount of confidence in my legs, and I was like, okay, like, I was running probably like 7:55 splits. We were a little bit ahead of the 3:30 pace. And then at that point I was like, okay, like I'm feeling good. We're still pretty tight even at mile 5, and people were starting to like kind of step like, and kind of, it was getting a little crowded. So I wanted to get in front of the group. So I got in front of the group and I just kept chugging along, and I just kept picking up the pace slowly. And once I got to the halfway point, I ended up being, I think, like 3 or 4 minutes ahead of where I wanted to be. And I was like, I still feel pretty good. So I just kept on the same pace, and actually ended up picking up more pace after we got up the 22 hill, lemon drop hill, which was,
is that what it's called?
I think so.
Yeah.
Which was an absolute grind. And then everyone always told me, like people that I know that run marathons, they're like, the real race doesn't start until mile 20. And I didn't know what they meant, because even during training I never got up to mile 20. And once I hit mile 20, I was like, now I know what you mean. And that's truly when the real race starts. Everything just gets you there, and then it's like, okay, now we're running.
How are those final bits before we talk about our experience?
The final bits, honestly, my 20 to 22 kind of sucked. Getting over that hill on 22 felt really good. And then once we got into downtown, I think that was like mile 23 maybe, I pretty much blacked out. I don't really recall too much about that. All I remember is running through downtown, and you look down the side streets and you can see the lift bridge and the finish line, and you're still like 2 miles away because you have to loop all the way around and come back. And I was like, this is just the most defeating thing ever. And then, you finally make your way down, cross the cross the street, cross the highway and the railroad tracks, and you still got a mile left, and you're like, holy cow, like how am I going to make it? And that last mile felt like it took forever, but the last 200 meters was arguably the best feeling in the world. Like it's just lined with people like just cheering you on. They have no idea who you are or anything about you, but they just want to see you get to that finish line as fast as possible. And once you cross, I'll let you guys talk about that.
And you finished with an incredible 3 hours and 23 minute, correct?
Yeah.
Something like that.
Amazing.
That's amazing.
Still can't comprehend that.
That is
feat.
amazing.
But also, what happened when you crossed the finish line? Because this is kind of funny.
So, I don't know if you guys ever felt this, but like my hands were like tingling, and like I just got hit with like the second I stopped running, my hands were tingling really bad, and I just got hit with a huge wave of just being cold but also like hot at the same time. I've never been in shock before, but that's kind of what I feel like shock would feel like. I don't know.
Yeah.
So they put one of those tinfoil things around me, and I couldn't even like talk. I just kept going like this. I was like, water. And they're like pointing me. They're like, it's back that way. And I'm like, okay. So like I'm trying to make my way back there. They give me my medal, and then before you can get to the water stand, they're trying to like ask me what size t-shirt I want. I was like, I don't care about a t-shirt. Like, I just need a bottle of water, please, and some food. And they're like, medium? I was like, sure. Like, so I just grabbed it. And then I went right to the water station, Powerade, and then I got super, super hot. Felt like I was like getting a little dizzy and was gonna pass out. So I went to the medical tent, and I was just like, I'm gonna sit here for a while. Think I'm doing fine. I just need a bag of ice. And I just sat there for like 20 minutes, just relaxing. And then it finally came back.
That's awesome. Good for you. That's pushing it to the limit right there.
Seriously. Props to Dave. We knew he was going to be the fastest, but I didn't know you were going to go that dang fast.
No, I did not. I was shocked because I got I was texting Marty at mile 20-something, I think, because I was just I can't remember why, but I was texting him for some reason. Then he's like, Dave already crossed. I'm like, what? Dave already crossed? I have 6 miles left still.
Actually, I was like, with Tabber
3:23. I'm like, I could not believe it. And yeah, I told a lot of my friends that. So it's pretty cool that you're my roommate.
Oh, thanks.
We're pretty honored to have you in the same room.
Yeah, we're very
right
honored.
Yeah.
It feels like we're interviewing like the Duluth winner.
And we posted on our Insta story. I don't know if you ever watched it, but we did like a mile, like 8 update or something like that. And then at the end, I said you were far behind us.
Yeah, and then ours though, I guess we can recap our adventure because we kind of had a lot of ups and downs in our little journey of the race. And
when you say our, that means
me, Yelly, Will, Frizz, and Tabbers, because we were kind of committed at the beginning to be like, let's do this together, at least for as long as it makes sense. And first mile in and stuff, I think like what was interesting was that we just saw 2 people fall already right off the bat.
Yeah, hard falls.
Like hit the pavement.
Actually, that sound is just makes me shiver. They were just like scraping their skin when they would fall.
Yeah, there was that guy. It was like literally a 10-second fall.
Yeah.
He did a somersault.
Like shoes scraping for 10 seconds. And then he somehow like bear rolled up to his feet, and his buddies are like, dang, man, you all right? Yeah, it's one of the many that we saw within the first 10 minutes.
When I saw those like 3 or 4 falls right away, I was like, oh boy, we are in for one. But it's just because everyone's so close right away. There's not really a gap between people because everyone's trying to find their pace and spread out a little bit. So everyone's tripping over each other. And I was going very short strides, just staying away from feet. My head was basically down for the first bit.
Yeah, I would say one of our, I don't know if you'd call it a mistake, but for Dave, when he said that he broke ahead of his pace group, similar to you, Dave, like we were at the 4-hour, 20-minute pace group to start. And after like mile like 3, we were just like, this is too slow. So we like started kicking in gear ahead of that. That might have ultimately been the downfall of our group.
We were flying at around 9:15 for probably the next 10 miles. And I was like, oh, this isn't too bad.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we're doing just fine. We made it through the half together. We were having water. We were cheering with people. Every time we'd run through groups of people that were cheering, we'd up our pace by probably 10 seconds too, which definitely did not help. But we were having fun, making videos, joking around. It was a great time. And then got to see Yellie's parents. We got to see my family. Got to see some of the girlfriends who were there. Ran into Cuddy. I don't even remember what mile that was at. Probably like 16-ish. And then, it was just downhill from there.
I have a funny story at the halfway point because you brought up the girlfriends. So I told Lawson, like, at some point on the course, like, I would take a video so he could put it in a TikTok and put it in the YouTube vlog and whatnot as like a Kappy Cam update. So right after I got to, like, I think I was at like mile 13 or mile 14, like it was right at the half or pretty soon after. I pulled out my phone so I could take the video, and after I got done shooting the video, I had my phone out. So I was like, oh, like, this gives me a chance to, like, while it's out of my pouch, I was like, I'll just cue up some music quick as long as I have it out. And right as I was starting to cue up the songs, and I still had my headphones in at the time, all the girlfriends were standing there filming me, trying to cheer me on. So they have this video of me running, and I'm just on my phone scrolling right past them, and they're like waving. They're trying to get my attention. I just cruise right by. And I guess like the people around them were like making fun of them because of it.
You need to post that video.
Yeah, I do.
That's what happens when, what were you saying when your boss texts you mid-marathon or something like that? I know, that's so good.
It definitely looked like you were trying to send a message or something.
Yeah.
Like
I was
actually working.
I was queuing up Sorry for the Wait by Lil Wayne. Shout out to Trey Rooney.
It's a banger.
Yeah, I would say like the first 15 miles were just so much fun. I loved so much of that, just getting to see people, the cheering, like the eating, and you never knew. It was kind of like a new food usually when we would hit a group of people. And I think that was really fun because there's just a lot of unknown of never running a marathon that I didn't know I was going to get watermelon. I didn't know I was going to get freezies. I didn't know if I was going to get like all these things. So it was like,
you got a freezie?
Yeah, I got a freezie.
I got a couple of them.
Like Jolly Ranchers. And
missed those.
I think it was so fun because it made you want to see, what's next in store for me here. And then we were just joking around too of how people always cheered like, go hockey guys. And we were all wearing our hockey guys shirts. So we didn't know if people thought we were like a hockey team running it, like the hockey guys team, and they're just cheering us on, or if they actually knew us. But it didn't really matter. And I think it helped a lot in our favor because everyone said, go hockey guys when we went by.
Yeah, the first couple like water and Powerade stations were a little difficult for me. I choked a couple times while running and drinking at the same time, but throughout the race I got a little bit better. I found a tip was to squeeze the cup so it's like very small and you can kind of just like funnel it through, and I ended up getting pretty good at it towards the end.
Launching full cups of water just down my throat and seeing how much I could catch. The rest would go in my shirt, and then I'd toss the cup on the ground.
Yeah, the funny thing was, like, the mile markers were like these giant balloons that were like 40 feet in the air. So I always loved them because you can see these things from probably like even a half a mile out.
Yep.
You see the balloons, you're like, all right, boys, we're close to mile 10, and you're still like 8 minutes away from even reaching it.
Yeah.
And then, I think the turning point was right around mile 15 for the group that were Leg and Dave.
Yeah, I remember, I think I was the first one to have to pull to the side, and it was right around 17 or 18, I believe, was when it really started to hurt, and I was like, I got to stretch, keep going. Went to the side and never saw him again, and that's when hell started to happen for me for the next bit, because I was with Taver for a little bit still. We were kind of going back and forth, and then I did see my family one last time. I was like, all right, this is pretty cool. We're all right. And then once after the maple syrup station, had a big thing of that, and I did like I tried to do the butt kickers that I was doing throughout just to get my knees loose a little bit again, and my left leg came up, and my heel just immediately struck forward, and my whole leg just went straight.
Oh my god!
And I was like, okay, I'm hurt.
I'm stretching.
This is survival mode now.
Yeah.
So I had to come up with a new system where I would stretch or I would run. Once it cramped up again, pull off, stretch, walk. It was usually like honestly the same time every single mile. So it'd be like maybe a 2-minute walk to the water station. So I would stretch and walk, get water, run again for however long, and then it would just cramp up again. Like the rest of the way, it sucked so bad. And every time I'd start running, I'd catch up to Taver too. So like he would just kept laughing because he's like, "No, you're back." Like, oh, really?
That's fun. So when did you officially lose Taver?
It was definitely around 21.
Okay.
Right before the hill.
And
so that would have been a tough 5 miles alone.
Yeah.
The last 50 minutes were really, really hard, and I did not enjoy it whatsoever. And I didn't even bring headphones, so it was just me and my thoughts. And I had this dark cloud coming in on one side of my brain saying, just stop, like, don't keep going. And then I was just like, literally my only goal was to finish this thing on 2 feet. So I'm 5 miles away, like, just do it. So I kept the system up, and then made it to 25 where we saw a few of our old teammates. It was hard. I actually did get passed by the 435 crew too, and that was really defeating after being so far ahead of them. And I was like, I just have to be somewhat close to them. And then from 25 to the finish, I just ran. Whatever the pain was, I just wanted to finish that last mile or 1.2 or whatever, and ended up coming in. But you guys can talk about your end too. But that was the hardest and one of the worst pains that I have ever been in for an extended period of time.
Yeah, when we broke off, it was me and Lawson that when you, Tavern, I think Frizz, you joined them in that initial like stop and stretch time frame.
Yeah.
And what did you say, mile 17, you think?
Like
right around there. So it was me and Lawson. We just continued forward. And yeah, that was kind of like similar. I started like hurting, but like I just had to go to the bathroom so bad. And that was like what really held me back. And Lawson's, to me, like he seemed like he was in good shape still at this point, but I don't know, you said you were hurting at the end, but to me, like you seemed full energy at this point. He was like still doing all these like video updates. He even went on TikTok live at one point, and I'm just like trucking behind him because like this is another thing that I didn't understand at the time, but Lawson was like 10 feet ahead of me. He wasn't gaining any ground, and I wasn't losing ground, but we're running the same pace. But I could just see his head bobbing in his like little headband that he had on, and I was just thinking, I was like, why doesn't he run the same pace next to me? Like, this is terrible. And then, yeah, right.
It's
right
actually interesting you said that because 4 minutes, say 4 minutes. If you're 4 minutes behind someone in a race like that, it is so hard to catch up to.
Oh, yeah.
That you have to literally like cut your pace almost in half if you want to catch them, and it's nearly impossible at that time in the race.
Yeah. I'll say up to mile, whatever that lemon drop hill. What did you say it was? Mile
22, I believe.
So I'll let Frizz and Lawson do the rest from there. But like when you go down that hill leading into Lemon Drop Hill at mile 22, they have this like highway sign that usually gives like warnings to cars, blah blah, whatever it usually says. But it said like, "Good job, racers! You're almost there. Only 4.1 miles to go." And Lawson, he like was a little bit ahead of me. He turns around, he's like, 4.1 miles? That's like over 40 minutes left to run. And I was just like, I was in bad shape then. And I was just thinking to myself, like, that is terrible.
Thanks for the good news.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't good news. Frizz too, because like you said, when Will pulled aside, Frizz went with him the first time, but I think Frizz caught up to me and Yelly twice after that. He caught up after that, and then he's back. You know, he's kind of like a leech. He just like gets on you, and he's hard to shake.
That's we even said way before when he stopped to go to the bathroom or something. Like, well, that might be the infamous last words. We might never see him, and then we look 2 seconds later, and he's just there.
Yeah, and then he comes back and then he takes a break, I think, to shake out his legs, and then he comes back another time with pickles when we stop for the pickles. And he's behind me with his pickles, and
it was almost like a motivation thing. Every time I stopped, it wasn't for me to get to the rate, like finish the race. It was just to kind of catch up. So it was kind of like a short goal in the meantime. But yeah, eventually I wasn't able to do it anymore.
I know. I can't remember the last time I saw you, honestly. I don't remember
That's
that
the
time.
weird thing. Everything kind of blends.
It
at the
blurs.
end.
I know. It's
Like,
so long.
That one street, Superior Street, right downtown Duluth, I felt like I was running on a treadmill and not going anywhere. Like,
Same here.
I was like, when are we turning to go across the highway to the finish line? It went forever, and people are kind of like even crowding on the street.
Yep.
It's like, am I gonna run into someone?
Gets
And
narrow.
then, right, actually, and then an ambulance came by, and they held off runners for like 15 seconds. It was ahead of me, so I didn't have to stop.
Oh,
But I was
really?
like, oh my gosh, I'm not gonna fish this. There's an ambulance. Like, that's gonna be me.
Me and Lawson saw that. But I was kind of, now I'm laughing about it, but at the time it's just like kind of irritating. It really pisses you off at that point in the race. But like all the spectators are cheering you on, like trying to pump you up, and they're just like, it's just right around the corner, like it's almost there. Turn the corner, and then the next person's like, it's just down the street.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah,
down.
there's
You
some
get down
funny
the street.
signs.
It's just under that bridge. It's just like this continuous, like you're almost there, and you're still like 3 miles
It
away.
never stopped, and people are like trying to give you a high five. I remember I ran up to this one guy. He had his hand out. He's like, keep going, keep going. And I like stuck my hand out like this, and I think he could have broken my hand off. I was so weak.
How about the watermelon girl, though?
Oh,
That's
my
hilarious.
Did you ever see her?
That's
Oh
so
yeah,
funny.
I still haven't seen the video though. I want her to tag
I
me.
think
in
she
it.
might have been trying to get a selfie, unless you
But
saw it was a video.
I don't know what the heck I was seeing. I saw a lady in
Yeah.
a watermelon costume, and she's like, "Well, Blake, oh my God, I love you." And I'm like, kind of in and out of it. I'm like, looking, I'm like, yeah, like thanks. And I couldn't really talk because I was so gassed, and I'm running, and she ran with me for probably 100 feet,
Wow.
trying to take a
Yeah,
picture.
she was funny.
Well, she stopped me. She stopped me in Yelly, and this was I think at mile 21.
It was right around there.
right before Lemon Drop. She stopped me in Yelly, and she's like, "Lozzie," and then I stopped. I knew she wanted a photo because she had her phone on right away, so I kind of stopped, took a little break, and then Yelly comes and she goes, "Yelly." She goes, "Where's Will Blake?" I was like, "He's back there. He'll be coming soon." And then she snaps a pic, and then was like, "Oh my goodness, like where's Will?" And just was really looking forward to seeing you. So I just knew that she'd be tracking you down as you're running by.
Hope I
when-
didn't ruin her mood because I was not very happy at that point.
I know that was a tiring point of the race, which was really funny.
But I actually, the funny thing about marathons is everyone's just kind of an animal when you're racing. Like, there's really no rules. You can just pull off, go to the bathroom in someone's yard or whatever. But I remember taking a big bite of the watermelon because I was just so thirsty. I just chewed it a little bit and spit the whole thing out.
what I
'cause
did
I couldn't
too.
swallow it.
That's what I did too.
I was so just wanted something to taste good. I just went with a bunch of watermelon. Whoever saw me do that was probably like, "Whoa, this guy's messed up."
I did that with the strawberries too. Right at the end, there was someone handing out strawberries, and I just was like,
Yeah, the last 6 miles or whatever, I was grabbing every single food there was. Yeah, right when I kind of lost Yelly and Lawson was when my legs were like really like giving out, and like I had no service, couldn't load any motivational music, nothing. And like I actually couldn't walk. Like it hurt way more to walk than to run. So I would either stop, stretch out, and then run a little bit more and then stop. So I literally thought that you guys were going to pass me. I was always looking for you
I
guys
was
because
doing the same thing.
I stopped like probably 3 or 4 times every mile until like mile 20 when a lady had ibuprofen and I took some of that, and that like really helped kind of get rid of like that sheer pain that I'd never felt before.
That's the thing about how hard it is to close those gaps, because I think you were like 4:29.
425.
Okay, sorry. So like 10 minutes faster. There's no way I'm ever gonna catch you.
no,
that
shaving
point.
10 minutes is tough.
Yeah, it was for me. Like Lawson was ahead of me, looking like just the Energizer bunny, and I was like feeling like junk behind him. And like I'm running, and just to rewind from what I said earlier, like at mile 3 we buzzed past our like lady, the pace setter lady, at 4:20 mile or 4:20 like finish mark. So I'm like feeling like junk, and all of a sudden like I see this lady with the stick leading the charge of this like group of like determined runners.
It was
I
a
look
wall.
over. Yeah, it was like literally a pack of just like hungry people just finishing this race. And I look over, and it's the same lady that we said, these guys are going way too slow. And then I was just like, okay, I'm not going to let these people finish in front of me. So I joined the group, and I just got like a jolt of energy, and then I ended up like catching up to Lawson at that point. And
I
the
had a
rest was
very
history.
similar thing because they passed me, and that's when I was in like my worst pain, like where I actually thought about like, I don't know, maybe I can't do this because I literally couldn't walk, didn't want to walk, but I ended up kind of following them, trying to get close to them, and that was again another little short goal. But once I got past that certain point, like when I actually reached Duluth, that was like the best time ever for me. Music was going, I was just flying through the town, and it was just cool to go past all those buildings and kind of run through the streets that you're used to seeing all these people and cars driving around. So that was like probably one of my favorite moments of the race, was actually the last like 3 miles.
Yeah, I think it was for me the most painful part. Like I said, I went on TikTok live on mile 23 after lemon drop. That's when I knew I had in my head, I was like, okay, I'm just gonna make it past the lemon drop, and then I went on live for a bit, and it was fine. But for some reason, yeah, the last 2 miles were super hard for me to get by. And when I crossed the finish line, then me and Yelly crossed it together. And I actually felt like I might pass out. Like I was like on the tipping point of like, I'm sick. I'm so hot. I feel so much in pain. Wasn't sure if I was going to need help or not. But yeah, overall, my immediate thought was never again. Like so bad, never again. Did it once, good enough. But now honestly talking here, like I do want to do it again.
It's really cool experience. And even like that initial feeling right when you finish, you feel so good mentally. But I walked right over to a trash can, and I was like, I'm going to throw up. And there was already puke on the ground right next to it. And I was like, that's definitely going to make me throw up. And then it just went away for a second. But the feeling of actually getting it done was insanely like exciting, and you felt so good. No matter, my body hurt like hell. It was horrible. But like, we actually got it done, and it was like, oh my God, just did that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I was saying it felt like graduation a little bit. It felt
better.
Like, yeah, I know. It was
that was
weird.
harder than college.
It was a weird feeling. Yeah, harder than college. The fact that you complete, like everyone's there to support you. You did it with your friends, and you take photos after. You get a reward. It was way more like accomplishing than I thought it would be. And I think Duluth does a good job of making it feel that way too, with the process they have. Maybe other marathons aren't as cool to complete, but that one felt really rewarding at the end of it, for me at least.
Yeah. What's something different you would do during the race to help you possibly feel better towards the end? I would definitely just be slow pace at the start, slower.
I would download my music like Dave did, because I was get like legit furious every time when I was alone and I was running and I just needed something, and I had no service and I couldn't load any music. Actually, and that was my lowest low of the whole thing.
Another thing I think I would actually change was maybe eat some more whole foods, because towards the end I had my last gel and it was just not sitting good at all. And thinking of having one of those gels right now makes me want to vomit too.
The last gel I took was disgusting.
Like
one Dave
just
gave me.
Thinking of
you
that.
like those?
It was like lemon lime flavored or something.
No, they're no flavored.
Oh, dude, I took that in the last mile just as like final source of energy, just in case it helped, and almost made me puke.
Yeah.
That thing was
I had
brutal.
the same exact feeling on my last one. Like, there's no way I can eat one of these ever again. This is so bad.
I'm on the complete opposite of you guys. I think that I wish I had like one or two more gels with me. I think I took mine too quick, and I don't think I went through 4 or 5, and I think I needed like I took them all before mile like 20, so I think I needed like 1 or 2 more with me.
I wanted like a smoothie. Something a little thicker than
you should have taken
nasty warm gel that was in my pocket the whole race.
You should have taken the free beer from
that
the side of the road.
Someone right in front of me stopped and grabbed that.
Really?
There's no thank you, please.
I thought about it.
I was like, it's gonna taste better.
You just held it in your hand as you crossed, Dave.
I thought about it. I did. I didn't go for it.
That would have been really
Yeah,
funny.
I saw people hanging around with a big keg. That was funny. Just because eventually you start running, you get off the highway and you start running through like a neighborhood. So like that was awesome too, seeing all like the pedestrians and people who get to experience it with you. They're the ones giving out the candy and all like the kind of special thing. Like I got Twizzlers and we had Freezies and other little goodies. So that was awesome. Just kind of like a great community thing about the race.
Yeah, my phone actually died with like
Oh,
2
who
hours
would've-
left.
Shocker.
Yeah,
in
who
the
would have
race.
thought that
Shocker.
happened?
But I think Lawson's got to hop off here, so I'm going to scoot over next to Dave and let him clear the area. But yeah, my phone
He's going to run.
my phone died, and that was really disappointing because I really wanted to capture, from my point of view, crossing the finish line, but didn't even get it to like mile 15.
I was like, I was so bad at taking clips because I didn't even like care at that point.
Mhm.
I wish I did now, but
No, like, yeah, that was cool seeing the other guys. They were all by the finish line there. They got some good clips of us, and
They had great seats.
yeah, we all hung out after for a little bit.
do you guys get cold after?
Oh yeah.
I
big time.
didn't really. I was kind of just talking to Lawson the whole time, looking for you and Taver, and we are very surprised to see Taver come ahead of you. We were just like, okay, well, where's Will? Where's Will? And then Taver runs by. We're like, oh, hey there.
Yeah, I think everyone was surprised.
No, that was it was awesome. We got a good group picture after in front of Grandma's in the lift bridge, and you know, we were all hungry after the race, and we knew we had to treat ourselves to something luxurious and new, and so we decided to
Packed
go
with
to
nutrients.
the old neighborhood establishment. You guys may be familiar with it. It's Applebee's.
Mm-hmm.
That was the best meal ever.
That was so good. It was exactly what I needed.
It was happy hour. Everyone was getting the half price apps. We got a big table together, shared some stories, some laughs.
It's fun.
I would have eaten anything someone put in front of me at that point.
Oh
Oh,
yeah.
I
yeah.
just wanted fried food. That's
Yeah.
all I wanted was something
Yeah.
deep
Yeah, I
fried.
had wings and mozzarella sticks.
Just so good.
And then when we were all leaving the restaurant, I got this video of Lawson touched on it earlier. Everyone's walking peg-legged
Yeah.
out of the restaurant because we sat there for like an hour and a half without moving our legs. So once we got up, it was a bit of a challenge.
Yeah, it was definitely a weird feeling the few hours after that.
Big time.
Like I
Big time.
just felt empty, exhausted. There's no way I could have given any sort of output, whatever,
No.
of energy. I was just depleted.
After we ate, I took a 2
Oh,
hour
yeah.
nap. And
2
I was,
hours?
oh yeah, I was out.
Yeah, the nap was clutch.
Yeah. It was needed. It was much needed.
It turned out to be a really fun night too. Got to
It
go see
was.
some live music and
Yep.
enjoy the festivities that Duluth had to offer. Saw some
Mhm.
old teammates, listened to some music, and capped off a great weekend.
Yeah.
And
was
then
nice.
right at 12:01, we got to celebrate our producer's 26th birthday.
Oh yeah.
That was a good way to cap the night.
26.
So, yeah.
It was a great time. Capped it off on Sunday with a little sauna, cold plunge recovery, which
Oh,
is
yeah.
always nice. Thanks to our buddy
Yeah, that was huge.
Tinner at Cedar and Stone Sauna. Check him out. He's the man.
Yeah.
But great job, everyone.
Yeah.
That was
Congratulations.
awesome.
Should we
Congratulations.
Should we end it with I was seeing a lot of comments on the videos of like people saying like, oh, like training for a marathon, that's my first one. Training for a half marathon, that's my first one.
We're gonna answer some questions
Yeah,
that Frizz
we
got- Oh,
got
is there
pulled up
some in
right
there?
here.
Questions
We got some
here.
Oh, okay.
questions.
Okay. So we did answer a lot during the segment. A lot of people were asking about the watermelon girl. How did it start? Here's a good question that I'm sure everyone has their own perspective on, but I'll ask each one of you. Yelly, will you run another marathon in the future?
Yes, I will. I'll probably do grandma's next summer.
Okay, Dave,
Oh yeah, 100%.
Will.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Right now, I'm not convinced, but I would
in the same
100% say yes to a half right now.
Yeah,
But
I'd be down for that as well.
we'll see. I kind of want to try something different. I don't know.
Mhm.
I want to try different things and see which one I like the best. 'Cause
And
that one was okay.
no, I agree. Because we always like trying new adventures, certain things.
I don't think I want to be a long distance runner my whole life. That's why.
Someone did ask what was the first thing we ate after Applebee's.
We are eating good in the neighborhood.
Yeah, so Kelsey asks, what would you do differently for the preparation of the marathon, not the actual race?
I think I'd dial in my nutrition better.
Well, I messed up because I was eating really good training, and then we got up there Friday night, or even like Thursday night, went to bed really late. Friday night we went to a bar, had a few drinks, nothing crazy, but we didn't go to bed early. We got up early, so I just think that like my body was so out of whack that I know that like I could have done better if I would have actually took it legit.
When I say nutrition, I think I would practice better nutrition while running.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe not like the leading up to it, but being like, what do I actually need to not hit that terrible wall?
We didn't stretch either.
No,
Maybe
yeah.
warm up too.
Would you change anything, Dave?
Oh yeah, big time. I think that I would actually like take my slow run slower than I was taking them, and really try not to overtrain, because I think that's the main reason why I ended up not being able to run for 2 weeks before.
I'd bring headphones too. I was at first we were chirping Fritz for bringing headphones, but like literally I wish I had music to listen to that last 40 minutes.
Yeah, I really could give this race, me finishing the way I did, to Drake and Travis Scott, all the boys. They really helped push me through. But for me, yeah, I think I would run more consistently, run more 6+ milers.
Maybe get over 10. Maybe actually train.
If you trained, you would have got under 4.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. It's fun, but
oh yeah, you didn't get over 10 miles.
No.
But maybe not. Maybe you don't need to train.
I don't know.
It's kind of like a theme. You just kind of.
It's kind of like
you're just kind of good at things.
Random things.
Frizz it's less is more for him. The less
I think
he does,
it's just
the better
something
he
in your
does.
brain. You just got the mental aspect. It's just like,
I'll take it.
16 more.
Okay, we got 2 more here. We did kind of touch on this again, but Dave, I don't think you had this, but Yelly and Will, did you have a moment that you thought, will I be able to finish this?
Mm-hmm.
I had the poop so bad. and that was early in the race, and so I just I held on to it and I finished.
There you go.
But that was my moment. I was just like, oh gosh, why this never happened at all during the 18 weeks I ran training.
When I had to stop my second time, that's when I got scared that I wasn't going to be able to.
Yeah, that was when the walking situation, walking and stopping happened. That was my thing. And I also right around that time, I also saw the sign saying, can't remember exactly what it said, but it was exit here if you're not finishing.
Oh
type
yeah,
thing.
the dropout.
Yeah, the dropout sign, and I was
see
it
that.
came at a really bad time where it's almost like,
Thank God I didn't
here's
see
the
that.
easy way out.
Yeah.
Come take it.
Mine
It's
was
just a cold beer.
Yeah.
In a pool.
it's like Hell Week when they have the bell.
Yeah, literally.
My kind of point was at what Yelly brought it up, when it has the 4.1 miles left, and I was like, oh my God, there's still 4.1 miles left. But then by the time I was telling myself, do I stop, do I not, I was already, a mile already went by, and I was like, oh, 5K left,
There you go. And last question, Alexis asks, I know we can probably all agree on this, but who was the underdog, the person that surprised you the most?
Mr. McTavish.
Mr. McTavish.
Yes.
Big time. Big time.
100%. He killed it.
Yep.
He was a beast.
That was insane.
Exactly.
What a trooper.
Yeah. Big
Because
time.
even after the first hour, he's like, I don't know how long I can do this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Throughout the whole race, he was so down on himself, and he just never stopped.
And he actually was not eating that much either.
No,
he probably
he
had
would
the
never
least
eat.
amount of snacks.
That's crazy.
He's got it.
Yeah.
He's tough,
He's
too.
dialed.
He's got something going.
That's impressive.
Heck of a weekend.
Yeah. It was good.
Heck of a process.
good.
We did it. We set
Yeah.
out to do it. months ago, and we got it done.
Maybe next time we'll get old Cuddy stomping around by us.
Yeah, I think
Maybe.
the next grandmas, we either get a few more guys in on the race, or we try to hit maybe a different sort of goal, or
Yeah,
I don't
we'll
know.
figure
Just
something
do
out.
something different.
So
Sponsor a
stay
team.
tuned,
I
folks.
think no matter what, we'll have some sort of participation in Grandma's
Oh, yeah,
Marathon
definitely.
weekend.
Definitely.
Whichever
I'll
race
run
it
that
is.
again for sure.
It was
Maybe I'll run
too
the
fun.
half, and then I'll wait for you to join me, and I'll finish it with you.
Yeah, maybe we run the half, and then like you said, we just hang out and like, just wait 2 hours, just finish a half at the
Yeah.
same time as a full.
Yeah, waiting for Dave. Say
What if we
did it with
walked
him.
a half and we challenge these guys to catch us?
Yeah, we
Oh,
can
that's
get
interesting.
something. We can get something going for sure.
That's interesting because if you walked a half, it would take you about 3 hours.
There you go.
There's your
Maybe.
challenge.
Maybe.
If you beat us,
Yeah, you qualify for Boston if you beat them, Dave.
true. We'll wait at
It's
2:59
like
for you.
a mouse
Yeah.
chasing a block of cheese.
Heck of a time. We're gonna skip the wins and losses of the week. 'Cause I
Yeah.
think everyone's with the win
Yeah.
is finishing their first
Big
marathon,
time.
and everyone's losses hurt. How bad we were hurting.
Yeah.
But thank you, everyone, for tuning in to this episode of the Fan Club. We hope you inspired you to maybe go out and try a race yourself or
Hell
try
yeah.
something hard that you never thought you could ever do. I see so many comments and tweets about I could never do that. I could never do that. A year ago, we never thought we could do anything like that either. So
You definitely can.
we're not any different than anyone. So go out, try something new, enjoy it, and you might just fall in love with it.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Exactly.
everyone. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, share with a friend, neighbor, cousin, uncle, anyone, and have a great day.
Bye, everyone.
Cuddy,
Cheers, everyone.
sign us out.